What I would say is she handled it very well. For her to be
Oh
very
yeah, she
emotional
did.
and sensitive, she handled it very well.
Cause I don't
And
know if I would have handled it that well. I would have been like, "What you mean,
I
fake
wouldn't look. I
phony?
would have just stopped
Fuck,
answering questions. They would have asked me, "What you see in my brother?" And I'd be like,
dick." I'm just playing.
"Hey y'all, welcome back to our podcast, Cup of Opinions, with myself, Natty, and co-host,
Alaina Martin.
and we are going to be discussing part two, Love is Blind. Last time we left off, we talked about all of the couples. Today we're going to start off with Izzy and Stacy, and we're going to work our way from them initiating, just in the pods, and then work our way back to the gathering with everyone else. So let's start with what's your opinion, like from the pods to the gathering? What's your opinion of Izzy and Stacy? I want to know.
I don't know. Like, I wasn't really sure about their connection, but it's like at the same time, him and okay, what's the other girl that they didn't work out?
Johnny and
Yeah.
Lydia.
Okay, Johnny. I didn't really. It's like I didn't really like Johnny and Izzy together because they just seemed like they just both had really sad past, to be honest. So I did like Stacy and Iggy because they just seemed like they could look more towards the future. So they look like they could just kind of like laugh and like more so have fun. That's what I got from them on the pods. That was the only
It
thing they
felt
really
forced.
showed us. You said
Did
what?
it feel? It felt forced to you, Johnny and you keep saying Iggy and it's Izzy.
Oh, Izzy. My bad. I felt like that was wrong, but I was like, I don't know.
I'm gonna roll with it. No, so you felt Johnny and Izzy were forced? Do you think
I
like
ain't gonna
trauma?
say they were forced. They just seemed sad. Like it was
Trauma
like I feel
bonding.
like their whole life they would be like talking about the past and like you get what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't stay in the past. There's a future. You get what I'm saying? So I just felt like it was that. It wasn't forced. It was just like two sad souls coming together. But does that mean y'all supposed to like latch on for life? No. Like so. I was just like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. Like I was just like,
Yeah,
y'all too sad.
that's what they call trauma bonding, where
Yeah.
y'all can relate to the heartache and the breakup. It was very sad. I guess I like Johnny because Johnny was given more secure, and I think the issue that I had with Stacy from the beginning was it was very she was very hesitant to fall in love, which obviously given the circumstances there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't make any sense to just be like I love you day two, but this experiment was for them to open up and to fall in love. And so I felt that Stacy was just hesitant, wasn't so sure for what Izzy was requesting of her. Izzy was asking for somebody to be sure, and Johnny was just giving sure. So I think that's why I was rooting for Izzy and Johnny.
See, and I feel like Izzy was like he was doing too much for me. Like I kind of see why she wasn't so sure. Because like remember when he first got in there, he was on everybody's hit list. It was like, oh my god, he's just so awesome, and like all this stuff. I wouldn't want to give my heart to that either. Like,
Yeah,
but
I just
then
was
after a while, he did kind of start to like show like,
narrow
hey,
it down.
it's between these two or whatever. But I don't know. Like I can see because I feel like he was very like I don't know how to explain it. Like maybe that's just his love language. He's like a words of affirmation. I think that's what it is about him. So it was just a little bit too much for me. And to me, it felt like he was just like wanting too much and doing too much. Like,
It was
but
too many stipulations. He was like this fuck boy where it was just like, all right, I got options, so I need you to come correct or I can move on. Like it was very demanding. He was very demanding of that affirmation. Almost like that dude from that one season, the one that they said was coked out. What's this, Sean?
oh my god,
He he was giving
Sean
us
is crazy. I watched that other show where he was on that dating show with all the other ones. Oh my god,
Sean
crazy.
obviously was on a different extreme, but Izzy was giving this season Sean uh I need you not to abandon me. I need you to tell me. I need to feel it. I need to know. And it's just like Johnny was like begging, and then Johnny broke up with her guy. I just was like, boy, ain't
She's
it's just
giving
not
you
enough.
everything she's got, and it wasn't good enough. But then he went to somebody who wasn't giving him that much and fell hard. So it's
When
like,
that's
do
what
you
you were
even?
asking for. You were asking for that. She wasn't giving it to you, but you chose the one that wasn't giving it to you. So that's where I was so confused with. But they ended up together. Oh, and then Lydia. Okay, I want to talk briefly because Lydia was brief, but him trying to like or
Break up
get
with her.
Lydia break up with her. Talking about, is there anybody else that you're interested
That shit was
in?
funny. She's
You
like,
know,
no,
and then when
you're the one for me. And like, I was like, girl, read the room. I mean, obviously you can't see him visually, but I'm like, read the room. Like,
that's where I was off with Lydia because he kept, why you keep asking me if there's someone else? I keep telling you it's you, and I read it. That was enough. That's all I needed to hear. Oh, okay.
At one time when he came into the room and it was her, he was just like, oh, like.
Yeah, he heard her voice. He's like, oh my God. Because it's like, you don't need to put all your eggs in one basket. And I feel like honestly, I agree. I don't feel like he was wrong because he wasn't giving her that energy. He was just being nice. And then I think Milton was giving her so much energy. Then like, when I know we're talking about Stacey and Izzy, but I want to go back to that real quickly. She wanted Izzy and Izzy broke her heart. But she didn't go to Milton to say, I just want somebody to love me for me. This man was loving you for you, and you decided that you wanted Izzy.
But I get why. She was just skeptical about his age more so. And like, she's never dated younger, but then at the same time, like later, like, or just in general, she realized, like, you know, sometimes age doesn't.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I know she's an engineer,
I feel like she had to go through that. Like, sometimes it's not the first person you pick. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to get that heart broken so that you can realize, like, okay, maybe my old pattern of ways isn't what I really need. Like, maybe that's what you fell for in real life. And guys kind of was like, oh, like it's her again. You know what I mean? But in here, it's like they have to confront stuff more.
I know she's intelligent and shit, but she just really gives like a dodo bird, bro. I swear to God.
I like her, but she's just very passionate, I feel like. And she's like a person who, like, I don't know. They're just very passionate. And then, like, once you, like, kind of, like, show, like, hey, things aren't, like, the way you're envisioning it. Like, let me clean this window for you a little bit. And it's like, you know, you being, like, la land, like, oh, my God, like, he's the one for me. Like, you know, but it's like in real life, they're not giving you that energy.
Which is a good quality and a bad quality. I think she definitely forces that. But it's like, that means she gives her all, which is a good thing. But she sort of forces it until it works in a way. You know,
it's not working. So it's not really working, to be honest. Like, it's more so like making guys scared. Like so. I mean,
until the right one sticks, I guess.
Yeah, but the right one is like, I like this. Like, you know,
right?
You're my cup of tea.
You know, a lot of people don't give me attention, and she's giving it to me. I'll take it. You know.
Yeah.
But back to Izzy and Stacey. So Lydia, they wasn't a thing. Then Johnny, you know, he decided that she wasn't the one for him. So at the end of the day, she decided that she wanted Stacey. Stacey ended up coming around, and she was very ecstatic. And I think even too, though, when he was like, I love you, and she was like, I'm getting there. And I just was like,
I mean, like, hey, like, what's she supposed to come on here and live? Like, yeah, I love you so much.
Which,
but, I mean, she like, I'm getting there. Like, let's just see how this.
Which, you know, I can give Stacey credit. Stacey was very predictable because she was very much consistent, and she was very much giving us who she was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can respect that 1,000,000% about Stacey. So, and I think I like Stacey. She had a good head on her shoulders. She had her shit together. I just think
you like her as a person.
I like her as a person. I think them in a relationship and what he was giving, it was not a good relationship. But her individually, there's nothing wrong with her expectations and what she wants and what she requires out of a man. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then Johnny, him breaking it off with Johnny and her bringing the shady comment of, well, his credit score wasn't all that anyway.
Yeah, I was like, girl.
But comes to find out, this is what was should have been discussed.
Oh, okay. I thought you was about to, you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
This is what should have been discussed. So, you know, in the long haul. But so they get there. I think they definitely immediately connected physically. She was just digmatized. I think he's a very handsome guy, but he's very nervous.
He is. If he was a dog, he would remind me of a Chihuahua. Because Chihuahuas are very, like, you know, just like.
And honestly, not to judge him, but after seeing his mom and the relationship that he has, she loves him very much. But I definitely feel like it's definitely that coddling that makes him that way, that for to push him out there into the world, is like he, he needs to run back to his mom, because it's like, bro, like, it's crazy because he's emotionally intelligent, but then it's like, what's the difference between that, right? Emotionally intelligent and just extremely sensitive and vulnerable, and he just was unsure of himself. I felt there was no
And I feel like
confidence.
she didn't really like eventually like kind of help that in a way. So
Mhm.
it made it worse. I feel like you have to be with the right person to make you more confident. And it comes back down to the way he was raised too. You get what I'm saying? Like he kind of did go through a lot. Like he was raised Mormon, right? Or something like that. And so like they're not used. It's like in a weird way, he's a grown man, but at the same time, he's new to a lot of
He's not
experiences.
exposed. Yeah.
Yeah, he never was exposed to like the normal things that most people are like exposed to. He found out that his dad wasn't really his dad, and like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's crazy that you say this because you're bringing all of this back to me, but you're right. And I think that brings a lot of empathy, not feeling sorry for him, but a lot of empathy and understanding. You're right. You got a real fresh one there. I don't know. I feel like him and Lydia would have worked out, because I feel like Lydia is very, very much. She's very nurturing, though. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that, but I don't think so. Just because, like, I don't know, like they're both very passionate people in their own way, and so I just because
Mhm.
with Iggy, he's very nervous, but then when he gets amped up, he's just like, whoo, he like, like, and I don't think
But
that
that's
would work
definitely. I shared a post on Facebook that was like, my anxiety and me, and it was like, my anxiety, get ready to fight, but why? I don't know, just be ready. For what? Just get ready. And it's just like, that's how that's his anxiety. He's definitely a fighter with his anxiety versus a flight. When he met Lydia, I felt like he got nervous and was like, met Lydia in Mexico, and she was so pretty. He gets hung up on, I think he's very much unsure of the decisions that he makes, because although you were in love with Stacy, you was sort of kind of like, look, well, we did have a connection. You were sort of kind of like building security, I feel like a security blanket in a way, to try to see if Lydia, because Lydia wanted you so much, you have to reassure her like it was nothing but you, and there were just better options. And it just was like, why are we having this conversation?
It's like, hey, nice to meet you. It should have been like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Iggy. Is that right? Izzy?
Izzy
Girl, I'm Izzy.
with
I
a
was
Z.
like, I don't think that's right. I'm Izzy. It's nice to finally see you, but it is a weird circumstance, I guess. And I feel like he tries to be politically correct. And like, I feel like, like it doesn't
He
come
gets
off
tied
like,
up.
you said what?
He gets tied up in that, and that's annoying. He was very handsome, but I don't have time for this. But you said what you said, and you said it this way, and own up to it. And it's like, I don't have to agree with you. I can say this conversation's over and this conversation's done, and leave me alone. But with him, he just got to keep digging and digging, and it's like, well, we're entitled to our own different opinions. No, but you need to agree with me that you're a piece of shit. And it's just like,
He didn't do that with Lydia though, right?
he did that with Johnny.
Okay, because I was like, I don't think we're on that part. That I was like, I think you're connected it with. But
Well, I
yeah.
just think him and Lydia, that conversation was short lived. But I did you feel uncomfortable with that if you were his partner?
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like what I get from him is that he was maybe nervous to see her because it's like we did have a connection. I kind of did in it in a way where you was kind of like really feeling me, but now we're in person. So it's like, oh God, like what do I say? It's like he's a nice guy, I feel like, but and he's a nice guy. He's very nervous. And like I said, he tries to be politically correct. So I felt like he was like, oh my God, like I'm seeing her for the first time. I kind of have to talk to her about the last time we saw each other, but like at the same, it just like I
And it
felt
comes
like
out
that was more so
horrible.
it because if we're talking about the most uncomfortable like conversations, it would be last season with what's the African guy and that right there.
That was no, of course that
Nip
was
that in the bud.
that was
Like,
definitely
baby, she let that go on a little too long. I was like, you can have him. You can have her. But this was just, like I say, it was more like, I feel like he was just nervous to be around. Because the other girl, he wasn't really feeling. She was the only one he had kind of talked to. And, like, she kind of felt like, I guess he broke her heart. And he's like,
going
oh,
back
God,
to the
she's here
pods.
now.
Yeah, going back to the pause before we get to that part about the whole Chris having a conversation about Johnny. That's when I first noticed Izzy's nervousness because his eyes was red like he was about to cry. His leg, it's like, what is that? Did you love both of them? And what was that? When Chris was expressing, oh, well, she told me this, I'm thinking he realized he made a mistake because, you know, Stacey was a little standoffish, and hearing Chris talk, he was really bothered by the conversation. Like, you were too bothered.
Maybe I was getting turned up, like, ooh, like, you know how, like, I feel like even when I'm thinking about it, it's like, ooh, brother, I have something to tell you. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
his
leg
like
was shaking, drama.
He was trying to contain himself from not putting himself in that. And it's like, move along. You got rid of Johnny. This is no longer your concern. You feel what I'm saying? Focus on Stacey. Let Chris figure out what he's going to do with Johnny. And it's just like, in this circumstances, we're all dating the same people. Stop with the drama. Stop with the he said or she said, or this is what she technically said to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that. I don't like that about Izzy. But like you said, I feel like I'm a lot better, but I put my foot in my mouth. So I can totally relate and understand. That's why I can notice his nervousness, because he has all the signs of anxiety that I have. So I can understand. And like you said, I agree he's a good guy. I agree he has good intentions, but he need to get some healing. he really need to heal. And I just feel like Stacey was just so content.
She was kind of judgmental, to be honest. And that doesn't work well with somebody who already has anxiety, who's already thinking like, oh my God, like, are they going to think this? Are they going to think that? And then they do wind up thinking the worst one. And it's like, oh my God, I was right. Like, you know, so
him and his bald head and all these
things.
Him and his bald head and all these things. I'm like, you got a nice bald head. You're handsome. Calm down, Izzy.
He said that women before in his past, they haven't liked the body, but it works for him, to be honest. He's very handsome, so I don't know. But I mean, it could make a woman nervous because it's like, are my kids gonna be like, bald? So I think, it is kind of a question like, when did you go bald?
But at least you got a nice head. At least you got a nice head. I said, at least you got a nice head.
Yeah, but like I said, some women, it's like, I had to think about that for my kids.
Not everyone's gonna like it, and he just needs some therapy. And I just feel like Stacey was so secure in herself, and she comes from such a secure family, and it's just, I don't know. But going along as far as their relationship when they met and everything seemed peachy.
Yeah.
And until, do they have an argument? Oh, okay. I don't know. Do you want to get to the gathering, or is there anything?
Yeah, because their relationship was pretty smooth until the gathering. And then that's kind of when things started to, like, kind of pop off a little bit for them. Like, on their honeymoon, they had a good time. They were very lovey-dovey and stuff like that. But, yeah, they were pretty cool. So it's kind of like, okay, maybe they might make it, And then, like, when it got to the gathering and kind of, like, the drama and stuff, you kind of see when they start living together and talking about, like, like, okay, well, this is my house. And,
okay, let's get there. That was a lot of pressure.
Start living together.
That was a lot of pressure, and this family and his dad having the conversation. I think the dad was very gentle as much as he could be, but realistic, and saying, "Hey," I think that was similar to the other couples in the last season. That I think, was it a Greek family or Italian? The skinny guy with the curvy woman. What was?
Oh, damn! Was that last season or was that 2 seasons ago?
Was that
they producing them so fast, to be honest?
Yeah, but
it's like every 6 months.
It was very similar in, you got to take care of my daughter because.
But I will say this one was a lot sweeter. Like, because the other dad, he's weird to me. The one that you're talking about
with the young wife
is so weird to me. It's like on the reunion. I know we're not talking about that, but comparison or whatever. Her dad is weird. I don't know, like it's like he approved, but he didn't approve. It's like, I don't know, like it's like he liked the guy, but then at the same time he'll bring up stuff like, I don't know, it doesn't even matter about them. But let's get back.
I definitely thought he agreed, but the dad let it be known, and just it definitely made him more nervous. Like you said, it wasn't securing for Izzy when he was like, well, if you don't do it, my dad would, but I don't want you to leaning on my dad. And it's just like, it felt like Stacey just dealt with a lot of guys that were bums. And I don't necessarily feel like certain guys are bum. I feel like Izzy was a day-to-day guy. And she just was a little bit up there and established at 32 years old, had her own place. Like you said, it wasn't the same way. It wasn't the order of things and what she expected, you know, getting a house first, then getting a husband. It was supposed to get a husband, then a house. So it was a little awkward of, this is my place. This is how I like my stuff. This is how, you know, it is. And I don't know. I
Like,
just
you're
felt
moving
like
into my place when we really should be moving into our place.
it
Like,
just was not a nice setup for her already. But it's just like, what, you're 32 and you're dating
you
a
went
young
on the show,
guy.
so you already knew this was gonna happen, beyond.
A
So
possibility, right? And then there was the issue. It was the whole, okay, now we go to Izzy's place, and
oh yeah. Okay, so
yeah,
we're on track. She was so
like,
judgmental. I feel like I like, okay. The main things that happened with that whole, like, whatever, the main takes I got from her, her house is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, she had this 3-story like place or whatever. Her place was fine. And so, but she did mention, like, you know, hey, you know, this place, you know, like, if the generator or something goes out, I forgot what she said. That's
HVAC,
$20,000.
yeah,
Yeah,
20,000.
she was like, that's $20,000. Will you help me with half? Will you pay for all of it? You know what I mean? So that was it, and that kind of just made him think, like, okay, like, kind of like, what am I working with? As far as, like, you know, and I don't feel like that was a bad thing, but I feel like he was more accepting to, like, okay, like, I feel like he was the type of person that, since he didn't have a lot of life experiences, you could kind of, like, how people say, like, get with somebody that's younger and you could kind of train them. I felt like he was very trainable, to be completely honest. And so, like, you could show him, like, hey, you know, this is $20,000. And I felt like in his mind, he was working like,
He
okay,
started the
so I'm at my
goal.
job now. If I do this many contracts, then I cover. I felt like he was like, you know what I mean? Like, I could do this. Like, as long as I have the figures. Because, like, me, I'm like that, where it's like, okay, as long as I have a goal in mind or a set standard, I know where I need to, like, be at. And so for her, when she went to his place, it was like, okay, I'm this standard, but, like, you know, you're below this, and I just don't know if you could get up there to me. But it's like, girl, like, the things that you're saying, like, it's not like he's a guy. Like, I'm just like, she was just judgmental to me. The biggest thing that they got hung up on was that drawer.
The drawer and the plastic plates and cups. And it's like, okay, he did not have you. He did not. He could have got with another girl whose standards that would not have bothered. He's realizing what your standards are. He's working around that. He's working to live up to your standards and your expectations. Like you said, he's very moldable. You've set your expectations. He's complying with that. Why? Okay, next, moving on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that just kept making him more and more nervous, because he's like, oh my gosh, she's judging me on things that I really didn't think was a big deal. You get what I'm saying?
Now,
like,
granted, I don't live like that. We're not gonna have paper plates and cups, but if that's how you were living, if that was comfortable for you, that's fine.
Being a single male at that, like, she got to think he's a single male. That most of them, they ain't gonna want to wash dishes. Like, you know, like, it's just like, I
prefer that than dirty dishes in your sink. You understand? I said I prefer that than dirty dishes in your sink. Now we can go on and learn a routine. When you are when two people come together, they are learning and they're adjusting and there's compromises.
Yeah.
Let's get to that. You know, hold the horses.
He might have had plates and stuff, and you might not have even liked the goddamn plates. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like one of those things where, like, does it matter? Do you want him to bring the plates to your place? Like, it's just like, what's the point? Like,
so if you was to date me outside of this, and you would have brought me home and you would have made me food, yes. And I'm sorry, honey, bitches ain't had no complaints. Cause look at me. I mean, look at me.
But it's the biggest part of that fight was that drawer. She was just like, I just don't understand when. Okay, the drawer we're talking about is that he had like a drawer of, like, I don't know,
lost and found. He called.
What, the lost and found? Yeah,
so
he had this drawer that was lost and found. That had, like, I'm gonna say, women's earrings and just little knickknacks
Bobby
from
pins
his conquer sessions and stuff.
Conquest.
And and so she was just like judging, like, why do you have this here? Why is it still here? You knew I was coming. And so, like, I get that, but then I get from his point, he was like, well, kind of like, I didn't want to hide it from you. Like, you know,
I want you to see what it was before, untouched, whatever. And then it's just like, oh, so what? You wanted me to know that you've been doing this? Is like, we all have a past. No, I'm not trying to flaunt. It's like she was twisting his word. Oh, you trying to flaunt that you get the women? So now I know you get the women.
But like, if you would have saw it in the trash and didn't throw it away, you would have been like, what is this? So are you lying? Like, kind of like the thing where with the but that's later on, but we can kind of tie it in, I guess. Now, well, I don't know, but in general, she just felt like he kept withholding stuff. But then at the same time, like to him, it wasn't like a big deal, but to her, every little thing was like a big deal and stuff like that. But
we're gonna bring that back into that later subject, but it's like with all these things that we're talking about, it sort of kind of makes it hard for me to be completely open and honest with you when it's gonna turn into this nitpicking of shit.
Yeah, you know? Of my life that I'm not good enough for you, really.
Right. You know, right. First it was the place, then it was Lost and Found, then it was this. So then it's just like, I'm never going to do anything right, you know, and last thing I'm going to do is disappoint you again. Because I know what happens when I disappoint you, you know. And then moving into the barbecue.
What the barbecue? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll get into the barbecue and then I might.
Oh, they met the parents.
Okay, we already talked about that though. Oh, we didn't talk about Izzy's mom though, right? Mm-hmm. But overall, that was pretty smooth. Like she liked her for the most part. Stacey gave his heartfelt, like, you know, like why I love him and like all this stuff. I feel like that was pretty smooth. It wasn't really nothing too dramatic about their families. I feel like out of the two couples, definitely Milton's family was the most.
We can touch into that because we didn't get into.
Did we even talk about them? I think girl, that goddamn family. I was like, this is too much.
The previews made it seem like they was digging into Lydia, but I think they were digging into Milton more so. When it was like fraud or this is fake, this is all. I don't think it was saying that Lydia didn't care. It was just like, Milton, where is this coming from? I know you.
I don't know. I just don't know. In general, it was just kind of harsh.
But then it was like, oh, she's giving scripted answers. Okay, so what do you want her to say? You want her to fuck up? I don't know. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I just thought it was just super weird and just like, I don't know. Like, it was just like one of those things where I can see why people don't want to bring people around their like loved ones, because y'all was making it like hella weird. You knew I was going on the show. You knew what the show was about. You knew I might bring home like somebody who you never known before and that I might be getting married. So it's just like, it's not the first season of it. I can see if it was the first season and it's just like, what? This is like the 5th season. So y'all already know what the show entails. And so, yeah, I just felt like they were just, I don't know, like they were just hella weird. That's the best answer I can say. They were just hella weird.
But you also got to consider he was sick in the hospital because of his back and issues and stuff like that. And sometimes when people are like near death and stuff, especially he's the baby, they tend to hold on a little too tight, you know. And the father not so much, but the women, they don't play, you know, obviously, clearly, but you know. That was awkward.
I was just like, it was just too much. Like
it was very intense. Yeah, very
intense. Like, talking about she's giving scripted answers. What's she supposed to say? Like, it's not like you asking her scripted questions. It was just like more so like, I don't know. It was just weird the way they was kind of like.
If she would answer wrong,
I expected them to be all lovey-dovey, but I just felt like their demeanor was just so like cold. Like,
but you know what I would say is she handled it very well. For her to be very emotional and sensitive, she handled it very well.
Because I don't know if I would have handled it that well. I would have been like, "What you mean?"
I would have just stopped answering questions. They would have asked me, "What you see in my brother?" And I'd be like,
"Dick." I'm just playing.
Because I would have said nothing. And then they'd been like, "Why are you not saying?" I was like, "Well, if I answer correctly, it's weird that I'm answering correct. I don't know. What do you want me? What answer do you want me to give?"
Let me flip the answer to this question. Like,
right. Let me Google it.
Cold. That was it. And then they was talking about how like marriage is like a business decision. They was all like, how many kids do y'all want? Like, it was just like, I mean, these are good questions, but like, I don't know. It was just like, I say, it was just very cold. Like, and like, I don't know. And then like, Milton is just very weird in general. So like, I felt like he needed a goddamn script.
Yeah, because he was like, can we move on? God dang, lay off.
Can we just like, get the note? I felt like it was too formal. They should have did like, I'm gonna say like, I don't know, like some kind of dinner or something to kind of like lighten it up.
They would have attacked her at that dinner. No, it was not gonna work.
Her family, on the other hand, they were really cool, and he felt so loved by them. He was just like,
like, this is weird.
This family is so much different.
He just was like, can we just fucking eat and like chill? And then it was so cringy because she was like, he leaves towels on the floor and all this stuff, and it was like, I don't know. I just felt like I don't know. I felt like too Lydia was like always talking about his wrongdoing. I don't know his what he don't do, but I guess it's better to be aware of that and ask yourself if it's something that you can tolerate. You know,
because I think they asked her, "Is there anything that like you like that's bugging you?" And then she was like, "Yeah, his cleanliness."
yeah,
Like,
and I think I like that about her. I think one thing Lydia stands on is I'm gonna say what I mean and mean what I say, even if it's cringy or not
like you
favorable.
asked, shit.
I'm gonna be honest, and I like that about her. She was like, I'm just gonna be
She like,
honest.
has he always been like this? Like, y'all haven't gotten on him about his clothes? Like,
You know,
y'all raised him to be like this? Like,
I can relate to Lydia because like I'm very straightforward. I think you and I both are very straightforward. And you can find people that respect that, or you can find people that just aren't gonna like that because you're not giving the softer answer. I mean,
I
oh
call it
well,
the
you
more
know,
political answer. Like, where you're
politically
thinking
correct.
like,
Oh,
so,
he can be a little untidy sometimes. No, man, this man leave a towel on the floor. Like, you know, straight up, I'm just like, it is what it is. He's nasty. Who raised this man? But then you say that. My bad, my bad.
Wrong family. Like,
did you accept that when he lived here? Then what makes him think? I'm very vocal. I can relate to Lydia in that aspect for sure.
yeah, but she handled it. I feel like this family situation was good. And then we'll get into that. But I felt like, you know, they were kind of weird. But he kind of already warned us that they were kind of like that, to be honest. So it wasn't no surprise, but it was still a surprise. Like, oh gosh, they really are like this. Like he wasn't like playing. You know what I mean? Like they were really like weird or just I don't know what they are. I'm like now I kind of want to look in the lives of y'all. Like how y'all live. Like
right. They just
but
seem
they
perfect.
overall I feel like they liked her, if that makes sense. They was all like, okay, you have your education in this and like I felt like they overall liked her as a person, but now since you know they're
I think
together,
they're just like Stacey. They're just hesitant, and it's just they just have to prove them wrong. And
yeah.
we are going into that. We'll touch back onto that later on. But okay, so we got Stacey and Izzy. Let's move to the gathering.
Yeah.
Where Izzy felt the need to approach Johnny, which I'm not gonna get into that because that was a very much a headache. I'm not gonna get too deep into that because it's like, what are you told him he's safe for choice, I'm safe for choice. I was so confused with it. That's why I can't get into it because what
is going on right now? Like
Johnny's just like, what am I being attacked? The last thing
like
I
you dumped me, like
so
like
hold on.
you're engaged right now. Like what's the problem? Like you know, but
I'm with Chris. You're with the woman that completes you. Hey, good luck, best of luck. Why do I need to compensate your feelings about who I said was better than the other?
He was
you
like,
want me
I
to
just
say that you
phony as heck. Like it was like my thing is, why are you attacking a woman like that? Like about what? Like I just like
and I get Stacey's issue. See, Stacey had an issue. Stacey had a reason to have an issue. Izzy had no reason, and it's like I don't know if you're in love and this is how you're trying to Izzy. This is how you're trying to show Stacey you're not in love with her by digging at her. You was obsessed with her in a way. Like let it go. And then you're
like,
talking to her
happy,
man.
You're happy, and like you know, it's just like if anything, he should have just been like, hey, you know, hey Johnny, I know it didn't work out with us. I know, like, you know, there was I don't even know, like, you know, because I'm back and forth between us, because obviously they're gonna see it on. You get what I'm saying when it comes to light. I'm glad I see you and Chris are together. I'm glad that y'all found y'all happiness. I'm glad it all worked out.
I feel like they should have saved that for the reunion, and I cringe the reunion if you can't let it go because it's like
he got heartbroken twice.
You're hearing Chris's version. Chris is hearing your version. Neither of y'all have heard her version, and I don't have time to remember what I told one or the other. God damn it, dude! I'm trying to save. I like the both of y'all. I'm trying to save her. One or the other.
And like you said, she shouldn't have. Where she went wrong was she shouldn't have kept bringing up Chris doing theirs to say like, I'm really feeling you more than Chris. You know, just keep it separate because now he's using that as ammunition. You get what I'm saying? So, and then you wind up choosing the other guy because, you know. So.
And I think Chris knows well enough. He wasn't the one, and he knows he was second best. Why do we need to go into detail? Chris understands there was this confliction. You feel what I'm saying?
And that's why he didn't choose her in the end. On the, you get what I'm saying?
Right. But he took some time to think about it. That's up to him. Obviously, Chris getting dumped Chris understands that he's making what decision he's making, and he does not need you to defend him. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
funny,
Him
he
going
got dumped and then he dumped her. Like, and
right,
then
and
got
him
back
going back to
together.
her was at the end of the day was up to him and his decision. So what's the problem? He dumped her for a reason because he did understand and feel the discrepancies. They cleared it up. Let's move on. You
And I
know,
feel like they're actually a good couple, to be honest. Like, cause she's had sadness like her whole life, and he's even had sadness. They both been in that I'm not the first to be picked people. So now they're like, I feel like they're a good
no, she had
couple.
her love life. She had like the love of her life who died, and then she was with some guy. It was like this little thing, but I just felt like when you're traumatized, I feel like she shouldn't be condemned because sometimes you don't know what's good, what's best for you. You understand? And when you take that chance, where she is now with Chris, maybe she's realizing maybe this was not that I didn't like Chris per se, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I was still going. Clearly, you were still going for the toxic.
Yeah, and
You
that's kind of
know,
what she said in the end. She was all like, I think she told that to Chris too. She was like, that's what I'm used to going after, but maybe, that's still toxic. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I do need somebody who is a good guy. Because she never said Chris wasn't a good guy. She just said, like, I know how my life would be. And sometimes, like, I've been seeing, like, where sometimes, like, people who are in good, healthy relationships is very boring for the most part. And so people are just like, is it supposed to be boring and like not?
it's a maturity thing, and you have to mature into wanting stability. You
Yeah,
know, and not
want
knowing
that
that,
quote
like,
unquote boring life because it's not boring. It's just you're not getting that like where it's toxic, where it's just like, will my stuff be thrown out today? Will my car be gone today?
is
Will they break
he
my heart
talking to
today? Like
right?
so,
Is he gonna cheat on me? It's just like,
yeah.
you
And people
know,
think that's love, and they until they get those butterflies. Like I don't get that, like that whatever
that
feeling. It's like because
that
I'm not
fear
gonna.
of danger, that feel like that thrill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That adrenaline, and it's just like
yeah.
adrenaline doesn't necessarily.
Necessarily mean it's a good relationship. So yeah.
Mhm.
But okay, so we talked about so we're
So
on the
Stacy,
gathering.
let's go to yeah, we're on together. So Stacy having an issue with Johnny was very. I definitely disagree with how Johnny handled that. It was very, I think I can understand how Izzy and Johnny, how they would attract to each other, because Johnny's pretty toxic too. She doesn't take rejection very well. For you to diss Stacy and Stacy, if they get together, they're not gonna last, and he chose, if he gets choose her, he chose wrong, and it's just like, girls, you're
That's
catty,
his choice. Like, did you want him to choose you now? Like,
you're
because
very
I
high
don't
school.
want him now. So,
Right. And it's just
like,
like it's very high school, and Stacy was kind. Stacy kept her opinions to herself even when she found out that they were with the same person. So it's like I agree. Stacy had every right to be upset, but Stacy was really trying to be like, "Girl, I ain't stunning you. I ain't giving you no energy." But it just Izzy made it a
we
big
ain't never gonna
thing
be cool.
cuz
Like,
Stacy was like, "Okay, I know what my problem is, but Izzy, what's the problem?" He was like, "Oh, she phony." Okay, but you're not with her. You're with me. So what's the problem? She
that
just
was funny.
phony. And it's just like, okay, Izzy. So when they got to the house, it was just like, and then he
He
was
was
like,
so amped up,
he's,
girl. He
he's like,
was
I'm
so
so
amped
happy I
up.
chose you. Oh, I dodged the bullet. And I get Stacey like, damn, nigga, like, okay,
Okay.
I'm glad you dodged the bullet, but stop tying me into that. I don't think that was an unnecessary argument. I don't think it should have been an argument. She she expressed herself. Hey, stop tying me into these bitches. Like, that don't make me. I just think that Stacey understands her worth and her value, and understands the queen that she is. And it's like, don't love me solely. You know what I'm saying? Don't love me because you. I
Don't
think she said
compare my love to somebody else's and why I'm better than them or something. Like, I guess on the lines of that.
keep it about me, and it's just like I feel like she said what everybody else was saying. Why are you so on this?
He was so amped up about that girl. He
I
was
like
fired
Stacey.
up.
I just feel like Stacey says what she means and means what she say, and she say it, and she's not scared of the outcome. And I think me and you talked about it. You said you was mad at Stacey for making Izzy cry. I don't think he was so overwhelmed with emotions. He was amped up himself that he broke. He was amped up from all night until that conversation, and his insecurities made him cry. She did not make him cry.
I forgot why was he like what? Was it just that conversation and then he wound up crying?
Yes, because he was like, yeah, because he was like, I just feel like, and I think he felt like he went. I don't know, maybe the buildup of everything that she was doing, he took it out on Johnny. And then that's why maybe Stacey made him cry. He's like, I'm just never right for you. I'm never good enough for you. You know, he went into that. But it's just like, we're not talking about the other conversations and the other times that she was being crazy. We're talking about right now. Right now, what the hell was going on between you and Johnny? What does that have to do with me? Why now you're crying? This is too much for me. There was way too.
Like I said, he's a very emotional guy. So it's like, I don't know. I guess in his mind, he was so amped up, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't pick her. And I kind of saw like that she was phony and that I picked the real one. Like, but at the same time, it's kind of like what we said, like, okay, she just dust it off and be like, okay, whatever. But then I guess he just like, you know, in a way, like, I don't know, girl.
I think he felt he could. I think he felt he could share everything with her. Sometimes certain things you share that with your homie, bro. I got a real one. You know what I'm saying? But this is just not a conversation I need you to have with me. Moving on. Are we gonna talk about this every other week? Every other week we're talking about how you make the best decision?
I can see him being like that though, like being on IG, stalking on Johnny's page, like, oh my God, her and Chris just like had an argument. I'm so glad I'm not with her. Like,
exactly. You see this shit? See, I told you she wasn't the one for me.
Yeah, I feel like he's very much like little like, I don't want to say he's feminine. He's as like where he's like into gossip and like, but you know, some people are just like
he's giving very, very feminine traits. You know, very feminine.
Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something I've noticed where he gets like really like.
There's a balance. There's a balance between that though. Like, be emotional, express yourself, but you're hurt. What is like? He needs therapy because it's like let it go. Moving on. What is this whole lingering shit you do? You linger on shit, even lingering on the arguments that they've had. Express yourself in the time, in the moment, in the place. I think that's we as women like to bring shit up, and he's like, you bringing up old shit. And I just think Stacey's very much in the masculine of, okay, we talked about that. I'm talking about something new. Moving on, you know. You should have said what you need to say when you needed to say it, you know. And
I think the next thing we should talk about, I guess, is their next like real big. It's like, okay, when they had like, I guess, an argument about like, I can't remember exactly maybe the beginning of it, but they was talking about how like she was like, you haven't cooked for me and stuff like that, like. And was there something else that happened? Like, what was the beginning of that? Was it just a conversation?
I think it was that conversation where it was like, you know, this whole thing. That's when he started spewing out. And she was like, well, shit, you know, you're not giving me the guy that I met in the past. You were supposed to have been a cook for me. You were supposed to have been, did this for me, did that for me, did this for me. I think it was very overwhelming for him. He's like, how I'm cooking for you and I come home and like I come home.
Okay, so that was the same conversation, Dave?
I think so.
Okay, because I'm a guy, girl, I can't remember. But yeah, I felt like she would, like, on those instances, I felt like she was kind of doing a lot because, like, he stated, like, I don't know if I'm just, like, I'm not a very traditional woman at the same time, but at the same time, I'm kind of, like, in between. So, for me personally, if he just stated that he goes to work before you and get home after you, what are you doing within that time frame that you're, like, always constantly waiting on him to cook? I mean, I do get it. Whenever he's off, you get what I'm saying? Like, it would be nice for him to cook for you. But I guess, like, what are the expectations you're set? Like, how many times a week? Like,
but I guess because he spoke on it. He spoke on it of what type of guy he is and what he is. And it's just not lining up based off of what he said he is. And I think it's unfair for him to have sort of kind of put those expectations, especially seeing how he's changed jobs and his expectations at work are totally different than what he's probably used to. So what he typically does versus what he's doing. And I think that's unfair for her. I think within a relationship, y'all need to have a conversation. Y'all need to adjust and need to say, okay, I know I said this, but, you know, X, Y, Z, you know, like me and Alex have our expectations.
My new job, I gotta,
right.
You know what I mean?
Like, I like to travel, right? But we may not travel as much as often, but we have a communication like, look, I know you said you like to travel, but these are priorities, but understand that I'm aware and it's understood and this is what's going to happen. And so, like, there needs to be the expectation. I am the type to cook for you, but if I'm not doing it, please give me some grace because, you know, life is life. Life is lifing right now. You know what I'm saying? Come on now.
Yeah, and I feel like she just wasn't willing to like. I feel like she wasn't willing to compromise on some of those things. Even though, like I say, literally, he works before you and after you, so he works longer hours than you. But I feel like she was expecting too much of him. When if this man,
you want him to,
any person is tired, they don't want to come home and have to like run you a bath water, do your feet, unless that's just their love language and what they want to do. But to kind of have that expectation, like you said you were gonna do this, it's like I will, but at the same time, maybe it's like one day a week or one day every two. You know what I'm saying? Like it just depends on how often I feel like doing it. If we have other things to kind of like do, and like how often are you doing these things also for me if that's something that he wants or whatever. I just feel like she was kind of like, I guess in a way, waiting around for it every day. Like, is it gonna be today? Is it gonna be today? Okay, not today. You know, I felt like it was kind of one of those things. What I did notice is that he did like do the flowers. I just felt like her expectations were too much as far as like, you know, he's a guy who works apparently longer hours than you. I just felt like she was like maybe like waiting on him to come home and just like, okay, not today. He didn't do it today. He didn't do it today. You get what I'm saying? And like, I feel like that's a lot of pressure. Are you doing the same things for him when he is working? You get what I'm saying? When is he's coming home and you made food for him? You get what I'm saying? Like, are you just constantly waiting for him to do that for you? But what I did say was like, I did like that he was doing the whole every Monday started off with flowers.
He was trying to look. We're gonna start. We're gonna like this is what I'm gonna promise you. What I've done in my other relationship is that, but here's what we can start and what can be our tradition and what I can do. He was trying.
Yeah, I felt like he was trying, and I just always felt like it just wasn't gonna be good enough for her, to be honest, just because like I felt like she needed a stay-at-home husband that also like had money. Like that's really what, or like that's I don't even feel like it would have worked out if she had like I'm gonna say like a chef and stuff, because she like, well, in the past you said you were gonna cook it, not a chef. You get what I'm saying? Like I just felt like that it was just never gonna be good enough for her. And then if she did have a stay-at-home husband, then it's like, well, why aren't you working? Like you get, it was always gonna be something. I felt like.
Right, my dad was a hard worker. My dad always worked hard. Why can't you work hard? You know, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. It was a lot of expectations. I just felt like their lives just were not. He was not where he needed to be. He could give him a good 2 more years, and he could be where she needs him to be. Whereas you are 32, he's 29. Come on, have some grace. You know.
Yeah. So I felt like I said she was a little too judgmental for me. Like. And I felt like Izzy, yeah, he's very German. Like he likes gossip and drama. But at the same time, I still felt like he was very balanced. Like where it was like, okay, you know, like these are the things that that she requires. Like all I need is like, the know, and I can start doing it. You get what I'm saying? But it's like in her book, it's like, well, you should have already been there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he would have been there, let's say like cooking and stuff. Now, what if he's not cooking the right food for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like this type of food.
But that's just where conversations that builds that breeds conversations. If there's something, let's have a conversation. Hey, I noticed you don't cook like you said you was, like you said you like. Just don't let it blow up into this big argument at the end of the day. Just sort of kind of be like, hey, I know you said you were going to cook for me. I don't really see that happening. Oh, I'm sorry, babe. That's my intentions. I've been working. I'm aware that I'm not really giving that. But now that you mentioned, maybe it slipped my mind. I've been working so hard. It's something I typically do. But this is a new job. I'm trying to get comfortable in it. You know what I'm saying? But let me try to see what I can do with that.
Simple conversations, like you said. So what's the next thing? The next thing we have to do or talk about before we end this is if y'all are liking this content, definitely like, share, and subscribe, by the way. I'm excited.
But that's all for this episode of Cup of Opinions. Tune into episode 3, part 3 of Love is Blind season 5, where we discuss the weddings and the conversations and arguments that lead up to the wedding.
Yeah.
And who marries and who doesn't,
Right.
I'm your host, Natty Wellone.
And I'm Alaina Martin.